Good morning, everyone. Virgo here. It is August 6, 2019. Happy Tuesday to everyone. Okay, let's talk about the Equifax data breach settlement. This is something I'm getting a multitude of emails about, guys, and there are good reasons why there are things that are becoming confused with regards to this settlement. So let's go ahead and talk about it. First, the Federal Trade Commission, as you see up in front of you, has up all over its site that you can visit, and the link will be in the description, which will provide you with how to file a claim. It will also show you how to go about determining whether you are legally allowed to file a claim because you were actually in the breach or not in the breach, and there's a section where you can go to search that. It will actually give you information with regards to what you're capped at. For example, there was one person that had enough receipts and information on what they had to do because of their data being stolen due to the breach, that they are eligible to receive over $4,000. But there's a cap on cash payments. That cap is $20,000. Now let's talk about some of these other articles that are actually coming out online that are confusing people. All right, so remember when I told you when you go to make your claim, there are two different things that you can claim. One is you can claim to have 10 years worth of credit monitoring if you were involved in the breach. You need to use the tool that's provided to you on the Equifax settlement page in order for you to determine whether you are actually eligible for anything out of this settlement. In the event that you were not in the affected grouping of data that was breached, you are not eligible for anything. So that's number one. Number two, if you are eligible, you have two choices, but you really only have one choice if you have not had credit monitoring for the last 6 months and you don't intend to keep it for the next 6 months. Let me explain. There are a lot of people that are going on and they are making claims through this settlement, and they are saying, okay, I want the $125 cash, and they are signing up for Credit Karma. That's fine. You can do that. But the agreement within the settlement is that you had to have already had credit monitoring for 6 months at least prior to receiving notification. So if you haven't had at least 6 months worth of the Credit Karma or whatever monitoring service you're using, you're not eligible for the $125, and you must choose the actual other option, which is credit monitoring through Equifax. All right. For those of you like myself that had credit monitoring previously, through Credit Karma or through Equifax or through TransUnion or whoever you have it through, LifeLock, doesn't matter. If you've had it previously, 6 months prior to July when you were notified of this, and you intend to keep it for the next 6 months, then and only then are you able to request the $125. Remember what I said when I put the video up before. You need to do the right thing when doing this, because if you don't, this is what will happen. Because there has been such a massive onslaught of individuals that have requested the $125, they are now going to have you prove to them that you have had monitoring for at least the 6 months prior to, and that you will agree to maintain that credit monitoring for another 6 months before your settlement check or debit card is sent to you. It's going to be verified. There are many people that chose the cash that don't really have the credit monitoring. And if that is going to be the case, then there's going to be additional restrictions that are going to be placed on the rest of us that actually chose the option to have the cash because we've already got credit monitoring in place. Remember, this is not about giving you free money. This is about ensuring that you actually have the monitoring and the freezing capability for your credit bureau in case the breach caused you to have some form of problem on your credit report or caused you some harm in terms of receiving credit that you deserved to get, but because of problems that were on your bureau that did not belong to you due to identity theft or this breach, this is what this settlement is for. If you've had nothing happen and you don't actually have monitoring, then you can't claim that you did because you're going to have to prove it. The majority of people are going to be asked to provide the settlement office with some form of proof that you've actually had credit monitoring for at least 6 months prior to the notification of you making your claim. All right, that is one thing. So now you will be given another opportunity in the event that you chose the wrong option to choose the right option when they actually disperse to you information on this, which should be to the address that you listed on your claim. So you're not totally out. Now, as far as what everyone is reporting with regards to the $31 million that's been allotted only to pay the $125 fees, yada, yada, yada. Okay, this is going back to court. The reason why people need to make their claims now and not wait until the last minute is because December 19th or 17th, I can't remember which it is, a judge has to approve the actual settlement amount. If adjustments need to be made, that is when they will be made. So for those of you that are freaking out, oh, I'm only going to get 52 cents or 17 cents, it's too early to determine anything like that. And part of the problem with what's happening here is that people are being greedy. They're not telling the truth about the fact that they actually don't have the credit monitoring. And if you didn't have the credit monitoring for at least 6 months prior to making this claim, then the reality is that you need to accept the credit monitoring because that is what the settlement is for. Now, for those of you that do have credit monitoring who have accepted the other option of the $125 in cash, once it hits a certain amount, and that amount will be capped, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will be capped at the amount that it states right now. Again, this goes before a judge in December to be approved before checks start being dispersed. That amount can change with that court hearing. So let's talk about the fact that you may end up with $98. You may end up with $57. If you want to switch over, that's a possibility. All right, it just is. The judge could very easily just claim that, oh, we're only going to raise this, $3 million. We're only going to raise this however many million. That may be the case. If that's the case, you need to ask yourself, is it better for you to have 10 years worth of solid credit bureau, all three credit bureaus, monitoring through Equifax, which is normally a paid service where you're notified immediately by text message and email that someone has tried to access your credit and who that person is? Or is it better for you to take whatever the cash amount is? Now, my guess is it's going to make a whole lot of people really mad if you get 17-cent checks. I don't think that's actually what's going to happen. I do think it's going to be adjusted, but if we continue to have people that are making claims that are not actually what reality is because they want the $125 in cash, it will affect those of us that really have had the credit monitoring in a way that there will be more restrictions put on, just like I just recently found out. Now we are all going to have to actually show that we have credit monitoring, or at least a select group will have to actually show that. So we are not going to know what the actual facts are in terms of cash payouts until it hits the judge. When the judge sees it in December, then we will know. It'll be about 30 days before checks start getting dispersed, is my understanding. But please, everyone, do the right thing here. If you truly did not have 6 months worth of credit monitoring prior to making your claim, choose the credit monitoring, because really, if you read the legality if you read what's legally written in the settlement, you really don't have a choice if you haven't had the credit monitoring. That is what they want you to have in order to make sure that you actually can monitor your credit in a way that will protect you in the event that someone takes your identity. In the event that you have and you want the $125 cash, then please put in for that. But this is not a given in terms of, you get to choose, do you want $125 or do you want credit monitoring? No, there are provisions that are in there. And please don't submit a claim without reading it first. That's what's causing a lot of this confusion. If you don't actually read the settlement legal part of the settlement, which is really written more in layman's terms for you to understand, you're going to make these mistakes, and the potential of it turning out where you receive nothing is there, and it's making it harder on everybody else. So everybody, let's be honest, okay? Do the right thing. Do what you are entitled to. I understand that this was a huge breach. This caused a lot of people a lot of trouble. A lot of identity theft was involved in this. Someone in my family was affected very negatively because of this breach. So let's do the right thing so that everybody actually gets out of it what they can. Because let's be honest, this settlement isn't really enough for anyone to get all that excited about. But it is something. And those that had real scenarios occur deserve to get the majority and the bulk of this settlement. All right, everyone, I'm relying on you to do the right thing here. Those of you that are getting emails from the Federal Trade Commission saying, hey, if you don't have credit monitoring, you need to accept the credit monitoring, or you need to be prepared that they're going to request for you to show it to them before they release the check to you. Make sure that you check yourself, okay? Because honestly, it's going to delay things. It's going to create a situation where people who rightfully deserve the actual cash because they've been paying for, or they've been watching their credit in other means, will not be able to receive their cash as soon as they should. It's just a situation where it's time for you to get in there and actually take a look at what the settlement says and change your decision if it is warranted. All right, everyone, have a great day.